Hello, Power App enthusiasts. Welcome back again to the Power App tutorial channel. First, I want to say a Happy New Year, and I wish you guys a healthy and successful 2025. All right, in our last video, we worked on embedding a Canvas app for our shelter details section. In today's video, we are going to be working on doing the same thing for the Foster details section. So for this quick view, we're going to replace it with an embedded Canvas app. So if you guys are excited, let's just go ahead and just jump right into it. Before we continue, if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscription button, add that notification bell so you can stay updated when we come up with new videos. All right, let's just go ahead and start building this. Solution, just like before, and I'm gonna go straight to the form and open the main form. Let's get some real estate space. And so this is for shelter details, and for the foster details, this is the guy we're trying to replace right here, this quick view. This time around, I'm just going to go straight to the classic. All right, so the classic view finally open, and then I'm going to go here and remove this guy. And once I'm done removing that, remember we need to add the animal name. So you need to uncheck this so you can see fields that have already been used. So just drag and drop this guy here. Here we go. And then make sure you're clicked on it and then click on change properties, just like before. I know I asked you guys to go ahead and build this. I'm curious to see how you guys did with building it. Controls. So we're going to be choosing web, like I said in our last video for this. And once you select web, scroll down and hit customize for our app to create our new app. All right, so it finally created our app for us and gave us our model-driven form integration just like before. It did grab the animal info table, which is fine for now. We still need to grab the foster table. Well, first of all, let's remove this form since all these are not related to what we need right now. So let's delete this guy and make some adjustments to the settings. So just like before, I'm going to rename the app. All right, so I renamed it Foster Info App version 1. Let's go to the display. I'm curious, did this display settings work for you guys? Because I know my monitor screen is different from you guys' monitor screen. So I'm curious if this display settings actually worked for you guys or you had to tweak it. Feel free to leave a comment. And then I'm gonna switch this off and close this. Make some adjustment real quick. Back to the tree view. All right, so I'm back and I renamed the Foster screen to Foster info screen. I also added Color.LightBlue for the fill. For the height, I adjusted it to max app design height. My app, that's minimum screen height. All right, and with that, let's start bringing in our data table. So we only have our animal info. Let's grab our Foster. Right, let's go back to our tree view and save. and publish. So we can have our app name and our app ID. Gonna go ahead and publish too. And once that's done, like I said before, I usually just close this, go ahead and leave, go back to the form, and usually everything should be fine. So now we have our app name, app ID. So just hit OK. And then when you're done with this, hit save and hit publish. And then you can save and close. All right, so we are back to our form, and I'm just going to refresh this form. See our changes for the shelter info. All right, so our embedded app is actually here. It's not really being displayed. So let's continue working on our app. So once you are back in your solution, we can go straight to the apps you've created. We should have our Foster Info app now. And I'm just going to go ahead and edit from here now. And just like before, let's start by adding containers. So let's grab the horizontal container. Make some adjustments. Add some containers in there. All right, so I'm back and I decided to go ahead and add the containers. So we'll walk through them. So for the Foster info container, just like the shelter info container, the width is as period.width, height is period.height, and then leave the flexible width on. Nothing else was adjusted for that. And then for the icon container, just like before, left the minimum height, layer minimum and period.height. Width is set at 60 and then turn off flexible width for it to move to the right. Right, and with that, let's start adding our labels. All right, so we're back and we have an error label and a foster claimer name input and a foster claimer name text. And that's what these three are. And for the properties, for the error label, first one is the color is red. Just like before, the text is, this field is required. And then the visibility is set based on the foster claimer name input. For the text name, The same thing for the font color, and then the text is the description of the text. And for weight, we have semi-bold, and the width is just set to 178. All right, then for the value of our Foster name input, all right, so this is gonna be the value of our input for the Foster family claimer name. So it's gonna be a lookup field. So make sure that you're using the table name that you added for your data entry. So you have to use the exact table name. So mine says animal infos and foster family data. So it's a lookup to the foster family data field, and then we're gonna look up foster ID based on the animal info, and then we're gonna check the microchip ID of that animal to make sure that we have the right animal for that foster ID. And then finally, we're gonna look for the animal foster claimer and then grab the foster ID for that foster claimer. And then we'll use that to finally get our foster claimer name. So we're going to use the same process to get the foster join date, the foster claimer location, and the local shelter. Okay, let me just save this, publish, and then I'll go ahead and add the other fields and I'll be back. And we are back. Now for the join date, you're gonna have to use date input for that. So it's not gonna just be a regular text label. So you just have to adjust that. The only difference aside from the join date and all the other changes that we made is that for the value of the lookup for the local shelter, as you can see, it's still saying the foster claimer name. We need to get the shelter name. I'm gonna create a calculator column. We're gonna do this right here from the Canvas app. So if you just click on data tab, and then click on the foster family, the three dots right next to the foster family data, and then click on edit data. And then right here, just click on new column, and we're gonna rename this column delta name. Let's use foster shelter name. Data type is going to be a formula. We're going to use this formula. So we're going to be using local shelter dot shelter name to get the shelter name. Hit save to create that column. Should be showing. Let's see. I'm trying to look for it here. Okay, it's right here. Awesome. So let's go back to our lookup field, and this time around we use shelter, foster shelter name. Now, if you come here and you don't see the foster shelter name, just make sure that you click on the three dots, then hit refresh, and it should show you your shelter name since we just created it using the column. Okay, so grab that, put that in here, hit save, and then hit publish. All right, but that's our foster info section. Let's go ahead and do the icon section. And just like before, like we did with the shelter info, it's just gonna be an edit icon, a save icon. All right, are we back? Okay, welcome back. We created three icons. The first one is gonna be the edit icon. So for the edit icon, I created a new variable called isEditing, and I set that variable to true. So remember, when you create a new variable, you have to hit play and click on that icon to activate the variable. So make sure you do that. So after creating the variable using the onSelect, other adjustments for the properties for the edit icons, the height was adjusted to 40, and so was the width adjusted to 40. For the visibility, I set the visibility to not is editing. And then for the y-axis, I created some custom values. I just added 12 for the x-axis, and for the y-axis, I added 60. So that's for the edit icon. Let's move on to the cancel icon. As you can see, the cancel icon has Y using the edit icon for its location. And it's going to be the same thing for the X. It's using the edit icon, so they're both overlapping on top of each other. Width is set to 40, just like height. And for visibility, this time around, instead of not is editing, it's just set to is editing. And then for onSelect, we set the variable to false instead of true. So that's for the cancel icon. For the save icon, the visibility is set to is editing. And then for the main work, which is the onSelect, this is going to be the formula we're going to be using for the onSelect. So let's just work through it real quick. So it's checking for the Fosterclaimername input, Foster location name input, and the join date input. It's making sure that they are not blank. They're all required fields. If it's blank, it's going to send a notification error. If it's not blank, it's going to start with the patch and updating the table. So it's first going to look up the Foster family table, and then it's going to look up the Foster ID based on the microchip ID of the animal, and then adjust that to the Foster ID of the person. So we've located the Foster table and the Foster row, and now we want to update that to row. So first thing we're updating is the Foster claimer name, Foster location, and the join date. These are the three things we're going to be updating. Like I said, we're not going to be updating the shelter details because that's a calculated column. So it's just a view. And then we're going to send a notification to the Foster details. It's a successful, then we refresh the Foster family data, refresh the animal info data, and then refresh the whole form, and then set is editing to false. And with that, we should be done with the icon section. So just hit save. The only other thing we need to adjust is since we didn't have the variable set yet, we have to adjust the display mode. So just add the go to the display mode from our input screen and change this instead of it to be just edit, change it to if it's editing display mode edit, if not display mode view. So we're gonna do the same thing for our join dates and for our foster claimer location. We don't need to do it for the local shelter since it's already a view. So, and with that, we are done with completing our Foster info app, Canvas app. Let's just save this and publish. And then let's go back and see what our form looks like. So I'm going to refresh the screen real quick. 3 refreshes should be fine. Right, so we have our shelter table. That still looks good. And then for our Foster table, it looks wonky. So let's just go back and adjust our settings again. So go back to settings and go back to display mode. And this time around, we're going to put back on our scale to fit and close. And once you're done hitting the scale to fit, I notice sometimes Power Apps doesn't know you've actually changed it. So I would suggest after you hit the scale to fit, hit play. Okay, hit play first and then save and then publish. Then let's go back and refresh the screen a couple more times. All right, so let's go back here. So shelter details looks good. Awesome. And now Foster details looks good too. So it adjusted correctly. All right, let's just save and publish this guy. Once that's done publishing, we're gonna do a quick test to see if our code is working. All right, so it's done saving. Let's go back to our solution. I'm gonna hit one more publish all customizations. All right, so we're done publishing our customizations. Let's go ahead and test our app. Hit play on a model-driven app and go straight to Bella. And let's go down. So the shelter details looks good. And for the Foster details too, that looks good. And you can edit it until you click on icon, which is the behavior we want. So we click on the icon to edit it. Then just add an S to the Foster claimer location and then hit save. And we should see our Foster details updated successfully, which means both of these are now working perfectly. And thank you very much for joining me in creating this new feature. In the next video, we're going to add the entire page on the others in a new section. Uh, Thank you. I'll see you in the next one.